Please take a shower.
Alright, we're reading some paradoxes. Uh,
You read some to the public real quick. I have to go take a very, very, very fast shower.
okay.
Like 5 minutes at max. Tell them about tell them about Schrodinger's cat and the whole space thing and the time travel thing that we were talking about.
I don't
Tell
even
them how we
remember
got
all
to what we
that.
were talking about. Schrodinger's cat. The cat goes in the box with a bottle with the vial of poison.
Basically, Jacob was trying to talk to me about our, what is it, perception of time, and then this got into paradoxes, and now we're here.
Yeah, let me explain Schrodinger's cat because I like it. Put a vial of poison in a box with a cat and seal it, but the vial of poison is set to break whenever the cat does anything with it. I can't remember what it was specifically, but until you open the box, you don't know if it's alive or dead, so it can be counted as both or neither, kind of like quantum. That's what the Schrodinger's cat method is trying to explain quantum physics, because quantum means that something is in two places or in three or in multiple places at once and nowhere at all at the same time. Um, and he'll tell you the rest. I'll be back.
I'm not gonna say the rest because that confused the fuck out of me. Alrighty. This one's called The Liar. Suppose someone tells you I am lying. If what she tells you is true, then she is lying, in which case what she tells you is false. On the other hand, if what she tells you is false, then she is not lying, in which case what she tells you is true. In short, if I am lying is true, then it is false, and if it is false, then it is true. That's confusing. Zeno's paradoxes. Okay, I'm not reading that. That's confusing. Okay, I can't read those. Those are like just explanations. They're not the paradoxes themselves. Alrighty. Fuck. Achilles and the tortoise. Paradox of Achilles and the tortoise is one of a number of theoretical discussions of movement put forward by the Greek philosopher Zeno of Aela in the 5th century BC. It begins with the great hero Achilles challenging a tortoise to a foot race. To keep things fair, he agrees to give the tortoise a head start of, say, 500 meters. When the race begins, Achilles, unsurprisingly, starts running at a speed much faster than the tortoise, so that by the time he has reached the 500 mark, the tortoise has only walked 50 meters further than him. But by the time Achilles has reached the 550 meters mark, the tortoise has walked another 5 meters. And by the time he has reached the 555 meter mark, the tortoise has walked another 0.5 meters, then 0.25 meters, then 0.125 meters, and so on. This process continues again and again over an infinite series of smaller and smaller distances, with the tortoise always moving forward while Achilles always plays catch up. But you know he's just gonna run past him. The trick here is not to think of Zeno's Achilles paradox in terms of distances and races, but rather as an example of how any finite value can always be divided by an infinite number of times, no matter how small its divisions might become. That's understandable. The bootstrap paradox is a paradox of time travel that questions how something that is taken from the future and placed in the past could ever come into being in the first place. It's a common trope used by science fiction writers and has inspired plot lines in everything from Doctor Who to the Bill and Ted movies. But one of the most memorable and straightforward examples by Professor David Toomey of the University of Massachusetts, used in his book The New Time Travelers, involves an author in his manuscript. Hands the book to Shakespeare, then copies it out and claims it as his own work. Back in the same original books or Imagine that a time traveler buys a copy of Hamlet from a bookstore, travels back in time to Elizabethan London, and hands the book to Shakespeare, who then copies it out and claims it as his own work. Over the centuries that follow, Hamlet is reprinted and reproduced countless times, until finally a copy of it ends up back in the same original bookstore, where the time traveler finds it, buys it, and takes it back to Shakespeare, who then wrote Hamlet. That's understandable as well. This is confusing. The card paradox. Imagine you're holding a postcard in your hand, on one side of which is written, "The statement on the other side of this card is true. We'll call that statement A." Turn the card over and the opposite side reads, "The statement on the other side of this card is false. Statement B." Trying to assign any truth to either statement A or B, however, leads to a paradox. If A is true, then B must be as well, but for B to be true, A has to be false. Oppositely, if A is false, then B must be false too, which must ultimately make A true. Imagine that you're about to set off walking down a street. To reach the other end, you'd first have to walk halfway there. And to walk halfway there, you'd first have to walk a quarter of the way there. And to walk a quarter of the way there, you'd first have to walk an eighth of the way there. And before that, a 16th of the way there. Then a 32nd of the way there. Then a 64th of the way there, and so on. Ultimately, in order to perform even the simplest of tasks, like walking down a street, you'd have to perform an infinite number of smaller tasks, something that by definition is utterly impossible. Not only that, but no matter how small the first part of the journey is said to be, it can always be halved to create another task. The only way in which it cannot be halved would be to consider the first part of the journey to be of absolutely no distance whatsoever, and in order to complete the task of moving no distance whatsoever, you can't even start your journey in the first place. Hmm.
Still here, Butto?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm gonna take the switch upstairs real quick, and I'll be back. Okay.
I think I'm getting off. Hello? Wow. Just gonna text him. I am gonna do the end of the stream. Left you with a few paradoxes. This is gonna keep me up for the rest of the night. I'm not gonna get any sleep. And I'm gonna fail all of my tests at school tomorrow.